I want to let me start recording. That helps too. Alrighty, I can see my voice. So, what is up, everybody? Matt is here again for another new Apathetic Vegan podcast. And no doubt I'm repeating myself at this point, but it's the best kind of repetition, as I'm always grateful to have Ashley Cummings back on the podcast. Out of nothing else, Ashley, I really do love where these conversations go, as you bring a lot of honesty, energy, and light to them. So as always, thank you so much for your time this week.
As always, I'm so honored to be here, and thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean that, like I say, I am, especially with these lead-ins and lead-outs, it's obvious. Sometimes, like, hopefully it doesn't sound like I'm reading from the notes too, obviously, you know what I mean, if that makes sense. But I tend to really engage with everybody, but with somebody like you that just doesn't hold back. And I like how you break the stereotypes. That always appeals to me. And you're just honest with who you are and the world around you. Like, that just appeals to me.
What
really
stereotypes do you think I break?
Well, if nothing else, and you've been out in California for so long, but it's like, I mean, we haven't met in person, so it's like, I don't know if you, say, dress the way somebody would assume a California gal in her, you're 40 now, like, do you wear the tie-dyes? Do you wear the yoga pants?
How do you imagine I dress?
Well, I guess I've certainly seen it on your Instagram enough where it probably, maybe you are a little more the stereotype in that regard, but it's just like more just, I don't know, to me, just like very unique to who you are. Bohemian, if that makes sense.
It's true. Well, my ex-husband said it kind of perfectly. Well, this was when especially like, and I guess a lot of my wardrobe is residual from that. When first things first, like I have no boobs. So I still basically wear just like tank tops that have shelf bras or like nothing. One time my mom said, Ashley just, she was like yelling at me, but she's in a wheelchair. I said, not yelling, which is how she is, like, do you want me to try this dress on? Try this dress on, put this dress on. And then she goes, put some Band-Aids on those mosquito bites. She's a natural double D. Anyway, so I tried like real bras for the first time in like my early 30s, and I still have a few. Like I'll use them as a joke kind of in videos and point out like that push-up bras are available. But other than that, my ex-husband would say, and this is when I was running around and teaching all the time, and it's still residual, my wardrobe is basically like yoga couture, he would say. Like, I've been an ambassador for so many companies, and then I have just like, I'm kind of like Steve Jobs in a way. I have jeans that fit me and tops and like things that I like, and it's just very simple. Most of my clothes are like I've had forever. I got used clothes like on Poshmark, where I also sell clothes. So, but yeah, it's just brands that I like, and like very specific, like usually tank tops with shelf bras and a top over it. Like right now I'm wearing a Banana Republic V-neck cashmere. I always like cashmere, like light blue shirt with like my Rock and Republic, not Rock and Republic, I used to like them. Rag and Bone, because they're long. Most of my body is my legs. Rag and Bone, and then I have like a tank top underneath that just has a bra. So if I'm wearing a bra, that's how I wear a bra, basically. Yeah, I just throw stuff on. I'm kind of I'm a tomboy. I don't look so much like a tomboy, I guess, but I'm very much a tomboy, I guess, which is like a girl that doesn't, I just put stuff on.
Oh yeah.
And I wear onesies a lot. I mean, not when it, like lately it's been kind of hot for them, but I have like 10 onesies. That's like my uniform in the winter.
Oh yeah, it helps you keep you warm. I mean, look, I think.
No, I like it for the whole one thing and you're done.
Oh yeah, well yeah. Oh jeez. I a lot of times, the various styles of dress that people engage, in a weird way is basic.
You're like athletic couture, right? I mean, I haven't checked your outfits on Insta.
No, yeah. I think anything I have on Instagram is probably mostly gym related, and I don't like have a lot of pictures of myself because I'm not that guy. in general on my Instagram anyway. But yeah, it would probably be from, you know, the gym and athletic related stuff. You know, like work stuff would be, I guess, just business casual, professional, whatever. And that's pretty much it. It's somewhat simple, but I always just, I guess I like women that dress with style. I kind of like, you know, like the fancier stuff, but at the same time, I also like the simpler stuff as well, too. So I guess I like it all, you know, really.
I mean, the fancier stuff is nice, but like, honestly, yeah. I've sold most of my fancy stuff on Poshmark because I'm like, yeah. Really, when am I going to wear it? And if I need to wear something nice, I'll just get it new or whatever.
Yeah, you just buy it, and or you like to go for the casual or what.
Right. I mean, like I guess everyone has to think about their life. Like right now, my life is not really conducive. Okay, I knew this one guy who was led a very cool life. He was an acro yoga guy, and he would throw away anything that would be in his closet that he didn't wear for 6 weeks. Anything he didn't wear for longer than 6 weeks, he threw it away. I mean, I think he donated it or whatever, but it was like, you know, like when you looked at it, when I went to his house, I would see him in his closet and also like the clothes he wore. There was an energy. Do you understand? Like to it, like there wasn't I would literally, I don't do this as much. I don't do this at all really anymore. I, at that period of time, would have shit that I would look at for a year, Matt. There is no reason that something should have 2 or 3 inches of real estate in your life or your mind for a year that you never ever wear or use. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Everything has energy, everything has consciousness. Sorry?
Absolutely. No, I'm saying minimalism, and that's why I always look at it as I am totally prepared. If I end up with somebody who's a minimalist like me, great. If I end up with somebody who likes like a lot of clothes and stuff like that and jewelry and shoes and stuff like that, that's great too. Because my logic is either way, I can put pretty much everything into my Toyota Corolla. I've said this before on the podcast for sure, except like household stuff and my furniture. You know, all my possessions, clothes, just tech stuff, everything in my car. And it's a Corolla, so you know, it's not a big car. And I like that. So I'm fine either way with whomever or wherever I end up. In that regard, and I think at least for me, it's an unburdening because I was maybe I was a little bit of a Packrat back in the day, but thank God not anymore. It's been so long, and I just really I like to keep it plain, basic, and simple.
I noticed, this is so funny, like I have never been a person that's been able, like, okay, I lived once with a girl, she's still my friend, 10 years ago though, we lived together when I first moved to LA. Her name's Kylie, and we, like, you know, we lived in a house in Hollywood. Anyway, we do laundry and stuff. Anyway, I switched her laundry and she lost a sock. And she like blamed me because I had put the wash in the dryer. And I was like, is it possible that you lost a sock? Like that it wasn't me, you know? She like looked at me like I was crazy. So I was 30, this is 10 years ago. She's like, lost a sock. Actually, I've never lost a sock. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? Like, I've never not lost a sock. Like, I don't have any socks that match. And in the last 2 years, I'm telling you, it's just obviously a manifestation from the way that I've, I guess, I don't know, I wouldn't say improved my mental processes, but something to that effect that I've honed it down. Like, I don't lose socks. Like, they match all the time. It's hilarious. But I think it just goes to show how, I guess, things will always sort of even out. Does that make sense?
Caveat that as much of a minimalist as I am, if I end up with somebody who's the opposite, either, you know, in a romantic setting or just like in a roommate type setting, you know, either way I'm good because at least my space is just, you know, high and tight and basic and, you know, not cluttered at all. And, you know, there's quite a few Packrats in my family. And I, you know, and some that are just like regular, but, you know, either way.
Packrats, like a hoarder, kind of?
Yeah, I mean, not to that extent. The worst would probably be my father, and I mean, he is 81, so, and I think, like he had said back in the day, I never met his mother, my grandmother, of course, but he had said she was kind of the same way, and then he is the same way, but again, not a hoarder by any means, where he would be on that show, but just comparative to me, he is, so, but, a lot of people could be, or I could even have more than a lot of other people, so it depends.
I like the idea that when you get rid of things that you don't regularly use or need, that you're open. And this is also not just things, but also like people, belief systems, whatever, that you make room for new stuff to come in,
I'm kind of getting prepped in my head and manifesting my best for my series and whatnot. I think if it does take me out to California, it would be interesting, because I was kind of prepped for it in February of 2020 to kind of live out there, to stick it out, to pursue the series and whatnot.
I forgot. So you were planning to move here in February of 2020.
I moved without moving, in a sense. Like, I was prepped for it. I mean, I would have had to come home and kind of get a few other things in order, and especially with like work and whatnot, but I was prepped to do it. And in the sense, I am again, as soon as, the universe manifests, or as soon as I manifest through the universe and whatnot, obviously, positively as I can, and I'm trying a few different things, and I am seeing results, but, I'm very methodical in the way I do it. I'm there in mind, body, and spirit, and I think that's what counts. So I'm just waiting for maybe the universe to catch up, or for me to catch up with the universe. I'm not sure which is which, but I know I'm certainly ready, but it's like, you know better than me through living out there, through virtue of living out there, that it's a crazy time in your state. I mean, I guess it's a crazy time everywhere, but it's like, I want to be with somebody that I trust, or in the area that I trust, or wherever I end up, that, the commute I know is going to be tough, because when I was out there for a month in 2020, like I said, it was rough for sure, but,
do you have family or someone like really close that you trust, like family here?
Well, no, I don't have any family out there, but I know enough people now, just through virtue of, this podcast.
I mean, it doesn't have to be family. I mean, someone that you trust. There's no one in my family that I trust. I just mean, do you have like people that you trust? Or one person
no,
here in LA?
Oh, no. Absolutely, yeah, no, multiple people.
So are you saving up for like to have 3 months rent or something? Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think there's, I was thinking about that today, how, what you just said, how, I guess it's crazy in your state, I guess it's crazy everywhere. I was thinking about like a concept, or something that was thrown out a while ago that was sort of like, there's no, like, well, one thing was a paper that I wrote that was after a TED Talk by Brianna Brown, something Brown. Anyway, bulletproof and perfect, and like she's like, there's no time that we're ever going to be bulletproof and perfect. It's about taking chances and stuff. And I was thinking about there never being a perfect time to make certain jumps. You know what I mean? That we feel like we're nervous about. It's like you just feel your stomach, like, or your intuition, like, you'll know. I got my hair cut today, and the woman's husband works in grip, like he does like set and stuff like that in the studio. She says he's nonstop working. Now, I mean, so things are like back in business again. Like Los Angeles is back in business.
Said it dozens and dozens of times. The general you give me a pilot and I'll give you a decade plus. I'll give you 10 plus seasons of my series. And I've said this dozens of times too, self-deprecating as I am when it comes to my series, it's DNA deep, that I just know once it gets going. And I can't wait to look back on these podcasts.
Why don't you send it to my sister? Put, attention, great friend of Ashley, your sister. I think it will go right to the top.
Of course, to anybody who's unfamiliar with, your media, or, obviously your sisters, that probably would get me blackballed. And Oh God.
I was engaged to a guy, oh my gosh, when she kidnapped me, which is what she fucking did, to go to a programming center called a rehab in 2011.
Yeah.
I was like seeing this guy back in Miami, and he was like, I mean, like I ended up blocking him and getting basically a new number because of him. But Whitney had 2 Broke Girls, and he was like trying to get a job on the set of 2 Broke Girls. Like he was in Miami, but just like obsessed with me kind of, and like sort of like, and when he's like, I don't know how this guy's application got up to me. But maybe he mentioned me or whatever, but he like tried to get a job on 2 Broke Girls, and like I guess they emailed him back like, we're good.
Well, see, and you know, that kind of makes me think too that it really is all about who you know. And I guess that
totally
goes without saying.
is.
And in many, many fields are like that too. But it's just where, you know, if you went to school for nursing or for teaching or for, say, accounting, by and large, you know, you can still do a million things, but it's like you have a path that leads you into that. And obviously the arts and entertainment media in general is not as clear cut. And yeah, it's like you're literally one removed away from your sister now, but take out
what do you
all
mean
the
one
baggage that you guys have.
removed?
Yeah, like, yeah, well,
Because we're estranged?
Exactly, and that's the problem. But
No,
even
we're
if you guys
forever
were-
removed. I don't even know who you're talking about.
Say again?
I said we're forever removed. I don't even know who you're talking about. I was going to tell you there's 2 different kinds, and that's it. And that's from what I know from being inside the business. But like most of my experience is teaching people yoga. You're either from a very small, I would say, I don't know, a guess, pure conjecture, but an educated conjecture guess would be 50 families, old school Hollywood families, and their descendants. And then I would say like 50 to 100, LA's big. This is also a guess. So there's those families and their relatives, and then maybe 50 to 5,000 to 1,000 motherfuckers that are extended from that, and that's it. And then maybe 500,000 outside that bubble that are just degenerate motherfuckers that'll do whatever. I'm not kidding. That's my, like, but again, that's just also pure conjecture mostly. Again, I'm just a drug addict sister of, you know, great, what do they call it? What are they called? Like, Kathy Griffith was a D celebrity or whatever. Whitney's like a D celebrity. I think Kathy Griffith had a show called, Celebrity D, on the D list.
On E or something, yeah.
I saw her on a show that was like top 10 celebrities you would never recognize without makeup.
Mm.
It was really, really rough.
Yeah.
It looked like Carrot Top.
Oh my God, yeah. So,
But
to me,
sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say yeah. To me, that's all associated with the many, again, I guess, stereotypical trappings of Hollywood media and entertainment. And listen, I can only speak for myself now, and I'm pretty sure I could speak for myself 20 years ago when I was 19. That I know me too well now, and I know me then. I knew me then. Obviously,
You said me too.
No, but it is true. Where there are some consistent threads.
I'm
within
so
all
immature
us that-
sometimes. Sorry.
No, you're
Me too.
Yeah, well, but there are consistent threads within all of our personalities where even then I would be maybe I would be a little more, or all right, I should put it like this. I could probably be peer pressured more so when I was 19, but I think that goes without saying for a lot of younger people.
For what? Peer pressured for what?
Well, just again with the trappings of Hollywood, where
Oh,
it's
I see,
like,
I see. Yeah.
yeah, you don't want to be that guy. But I would still have red lines then, just like I have red lines now. But the red lines now.
So imagine being like
just,
born into it, being friends with people since you're born, whatever. It's stuff like that.
Yeah. And, well, for sure. And, and it's, again, it's all who you know, but it's just, all that just does not appeal to me. I literally just wanted to be Tame Camp. Tame is the name of my series, which is an acronym for, anybody who's familiar with my media, all Trident Adult Image Management.
I love that. What is it? Trident Adult Image Management.
Yep.
Why Trident?
I am.
Why Trident? Like for threesomes? No, I'm kidding. Why Trident?
well, it's ironic because it's, about the adult industry, but mainstream. Well, no, because it's the trident that is part of the emblem within my series, within the incomplete infinity symbol, and it's a very thoughtful process that I put into this, because that, like my co-producer and I have talked about it a lot, Mary Rachel, and she is on the same page, thankfully, where she sees what I'm going for when I say that I just want this to be a universe in and of itself. Like, if we have to film out in California, great. Georgia, I know that's popular in the East Coast.
Right, Atlanta, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not particular with any area, so I'm open.
Maybe
to all,
since you're in New Jersey, you start in Georgia. Warm up.
Oh, for sure.
I don't know what that looks like, but
yeah, well, it's all pretty much who you know and who would want to invest in any production companies, and we're working on that. But it's just like, I want to put my abundance, I want to put my money and what I engage into this series and making the best that it can be. And again, I don't fault anybody for engaging their money and their wealth and, again, their abundance in any way that they do, as long as it's, in a positive sense, as long as it's, done with the right intentions, as long as it's legal, and everything in between related to all that. And that's just where my mind goes. And I think that putting that out there, and even saying it now for the podcast and your audience and whatnot, only helps reinforce where I want to be and where I know I will be 10 years from now. Because I'm 39 turning 40 in February, and I'll be 49 turning 50 in a decade from now. So it is what it is. And then I'll be many years into my series, and I just can't, I can't wait. It's so hard to explain, and I'm sure you can really just in your own way. But just that artist bug, that artist gene, and I know I kind of sound like a stereotype there.
When you can taste it already, I know what you mean.
God help me, you are not wrong. I could taste it, touch it, smell it, see it, and hear it. I really can, and that's when I manifest, with my meditations and whatnot, because it's all there. It's all there.
Did you want to segue into talking about,
Sure.
Like, have you ever heard of energetic anatomy or the chakras, or what have you heard about the chakras and or the bandhas?
The bandhas, not so much until you put it on my radar. And the chakras, I guess I was always generally aware of now for a while, especially as I got into yoga years ago. I haven't been consistent with classes by any means, and YouTube certainly has helped during the pandemic as well. But the chakras I've definitely gotten into deeper now since Law of Attraction has been on my radar for a while as well. And I just, through the meditations I listened to and how I engaged them through my, again, I put it this way, where I can, as we've talked about last time too, my sensual meditations, where I am moving very, very powerful, creative, sensual, orgasmic, but it's implosive energies, just in case anybody finds that awkward, but it's implosive, through my chakra, starting at the root and the sacral chakra especially, and it is profound. I can't describe it. It's very tough, so you tell me.
Well,
you
okay, so I think that it's best to just scan okay, so there's 7 major chakra systems, and then there's literally hundreds, if not thousands more. There's 5 energetic centers called the Bandhas, Bandhas, that are talked about, touched on in yoga, which is, again, not a religion, but a philosophy. And so the asana part of yoga, which is the movement, right? When you do the moving and the breathing and the posing, the yoga posing is the yoga asana part, has within it energetic locks available for people to discover, with the feet always starting with the foundation. So if you're standing up, your feet would be your foundation, right? So Pada Bandha is a foot lock, and that's an awareness and kind of like an arch of the foot, an activation, right? Like a intentional arching of the foot, but a softening and a releasing of the toes. Mula Bandha is the engagement of both the upper thigh muscles, kind of, as well as not the sexual organ, the pelvic floor, the perineum, the place between the sexual organ and the anus. So, like I've mentioned in another recent video, like similar to Kegel exercises, or what some people might have dirty minds and called the taint, right? And then there's Uddiyana Bandha, the flying up bandha. That's your lower belly. That's your lower belly coming inward and upwards, like pulling in your lower abdomen. Jalandhara Bandha is tucking the chin to the chest, which is kind of sealing the vessel. Mahabandha is like a lifting through of the skull, through the top of the head. So Mula Bandha is the middle of them, right? There's Pada Bandha below and Jalandhara Bandha above. And it really has to do, Uddiyana Bandha above, Jalandhara and Pada and Mahabandha above. But it's really the root of everything. Like, when I first understood Mula Bandha, it might have been in a core pose. Anytime I'm in a pose, whether my feet are on the ground or not, but specifically there's a pose called Navasana, which is boat pose, where you're sitting on your butt and you have your feet up in the air. And it's for your stomach muscles. And in that pose, squeezing that place, right, the sealing of the pelvic floor activates the lower belly in such a powerful way. Also it's a known fact that yoga is something that improves not only people's sexual desires, but their stamina, etc. And controlling brahmacharya, which you and I have talked about before, which is in the yamas and niyamas, which is the concept of moderation in terms of releasing juices. It really only applies to men. But this whole concept of Mula Bandha is very tied also up into the concept of brahmacharya in terms of, and Bandha, I think I said that, Mula Bandha, in terms of the lock, in the, how do I want to say it? And the engagement sustained.
And I love how you know a chapter and verse. I mean, that's obviously a credit to what you do.
Sorry, you just came on. I didn't hear what you said before. What, love?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. No.
I only heard chapter and verse.
No, I was saying I love that, let me take a drink. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I think I think there's a delay on my speaker. I apologize.
No, you're fine. No, I'm still getting you okay. I really do envy how you know that chapter and verse. You know what I mean? Like to me, that's just an awesome thing. That it just reflects how passionate you are about this, personally and professionally. And like I say, I envy that for sure. And it's you triggered a lot there. And if nothing else, that's one of the things that I had really kind of seen through these YouTube videos, that was like kind of a consistent thread that they had said a lot, is kind of locking in that energy where, Kegeling, or I had always called it Kegeling.
Well, Kegeling is the only thing I can, it's not that. It is not even, Dr. Kegel, as far as I know, was not a yogi. But it's the only thing I can say that's appropriate beside, not everyone knows what the perineum is or the pelvic floor.
Right. Oh no, for sure. And but when you engage that, you keep the energy within you. And that's one of the things that they, or a lot of these videos that just went into like tantra, I would say that wrong, sacred sexuality and whatnot, about how you kind of like, you build up the energy, you keep it inside, and then you can move it within your
Remember, that's
centers.
the Kama Sutra, just a part of Tantra.
Right. Like we talked about before, exactly. Now, I haven't had a lot of luck getting it really up to my heart chakra yet, but I'm trying.
I don't know if that's a like suggested intention or if you read that somewhere, but I've never heard of anyone intending to get that energy up to their heart. I don't know what you mean by that. Kundalini goes through the spine, your Sushumna column. That's an energy that is like, so Kundalini energy, and I don't think you're talking about this, but just to be clear, Kundalini energy, the best description that I've ever heard is, so at the base of the spine is like a water fountain coming up, and it's being sort of held down by conditioning, belief systems, things that happen before really the frontal lobe is developed. So that's why certain things can release Kundalini, but that's just kind of who we are, the Kundalini energy. That's kind of just holding at the base of the spine. But that's in the back of the body. There's like different meridians and stuff. So which, I don't, like, I'm actually just thinking in my head, I don't think any person in Tantra, which again, Tantra just doesn't ignore the body, whatever advise that energy go up. There's something called Apana, A-P-A-N-A, which is a principle that there's energy that's always flowing down. For example, the menstruation is women are not necessarily encouraged to go upside down in headstand, forearm stand, or inversion poses while they're menstruating because of the principle of Apana in the body, that they're